Hey everybody, this is Hercules Penix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the Hercules Penix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Today we're going to be looking at The Legend of Kamui, number 23 through 26, continuing our examination of this great ninja comic from the 80s. Let's start off with number 23. I really like this cover. It's just a cat eating a rat. Even though the colors are very odd on these covers, they're going to get weirder as we progress. So we're still in the Swordwind, Chapter 4, and this episode we're going to look at Part 1 through 4 of The Shadow of Death. So here's Part 1. So we see the lumberjacks chopping down trees. This is where Kamui has been kind of laying low to escape all of the ninjas chasing after him. Very slow, languorous introduction. We just see the lumberjacks at their work. And we see Kamui. And we see this old monk show up. And a tree falls right towards him. The lumberjacks are like, "Look out, old man." And it looks like the tree totally crushes him. He's caught off guard, unawares. We see his hat fly off. So all the lumberjacks run to his aid. They lift the tree up, and the old monk is just fine. Luckily, a branch protected him, propped up the tree. So they're all having a good laugh with him, and they're all relieved. But Kamui's just sitting off in a corner. The old monk seems to take notice of Kamui. So now it's lunch break time, and they invite the old monk to join them. Meanwhile, a medicine salesman, a traveling medicine salesman shows up. And he's peddling his wares. And he offers all of the lumberjacks a free cure-all. Almost like, the first one's free. Try this out. So they're all grateful that he gave them all this. He gave them free medicine. So they invite him to lunch, too. He approaches Kamui and basically shoves the medicine down his shirt. He says, "Come on, try it." And then the old monk approaches Kamui. He says, "Why is it that I see the shadow of death on your face? Can you think of any reason why such a thing should be?" Look how slow moving this is. It's just like reaction shots. It's really like a movie. Meanwhile, they're both transfixed by watching this cat pursuing a rat. And I love this kind of stuff. Just scenes of animals fighting each other. So the cat pounces on the rat and bites into him. Meanwhile, a hawk up above is spying the whole thing. The cat gets distracted by the hawk, and the rat runs away. The cat's batting it around, and then the rat bites him on the nose. And I love this. It's like a Warner Brothers cartoon. They get in this huge tussle. It's like the Tasmanian Devil. It's like an epic battle between this cat and this rat. I love it. This rat is just like half dead, but he's still fighting. He won't let go. It looks like he's dead, and the cat's batting him around again. But no, the rat leaps up and tries to bite him again. Look at this. I love this panel. The rat's just like, "Fuck you. I know I'm half dead, but I'm going to go out fighting." And the rat is still slowly just limping away, and the cat's just playing with it, you know, how cats do. But the old monk throws a rock and distracts the cat so the rat can get away. The rat falls in the stream and kind of floats away. God, I could read like a whole graphic novel about this kind of stuff. I don't know why I love this true life nature stuff. Kamui asks the old monk why. And the monk says no matter how desperate an effort the rat made, it was destined to be eaten by the cat. It's inevitable. It's the fate of the rat. And then by talking about this rat, they get in this huge philosophical discussion. The hawk is still flying overhead. And they basically come to the monk comes to the conclusion is there's a one chance in 1,000 the rat will live. Why does he even try to seek that possibility? He says that all creatures live futile lives, and they know that life is futile. That very futility is life itself. And Kamui kind of agrees, but he also says we should still make the futile effort to seek that 1 in 1,000 chance, even though it may be in vain. Very interesting series of pages here, just these two guys sitting. Meanwhile, we see the rat is still alive. He is floating down the stream. He climbs up on a branch, and then the hawk dives down. And he grabs the rat. And after all that struggle, he meets his fate, the fate of the rat. And then it gets crazy here. The old monk all of a sudden has this look on his face, and he takes his staff and he bashes Kamui's head in. Or so it appears. We see the monk slowly the camera zooms out, or zooms out and zooms in, and we see that there's no blood or brain on his stick. If you look at this panel closely, it looks like he's bashing his brain in. His skull in, I mean to say. And so, once again, Kamui used his ninja mind trick on the guy. So it looked like he killed him. And the monk laughs and says, he eluded my thrust. This promises to be interesting. And then we see Kamui way up in a tree. That's where he escaped. And Kamui thinks to himself, the world is full of interesting people. Just what is he, anyway? Quite a mystery who this old monk is. And I don't think we're going to really find out in this 4-part chapter. Number 24, there's the old monk. Look at these weird colors. That's pretty fucking bizarre. So a dead body is found in the river, and apparently it looks like he was burned to death. And the people find him are like, oh, this is dreadful. Who would do such a thing? We can't even identify him. We see this guy with a dog kind of observing. And then we see these ninja come out of the woods. They meet with the guy with the dog in this little clearing here. And it turns out they're all ninjas. They're the ninjas who have been pursuing Kamui for God knows how long. They realize, they say it was Kasune. There's no doubt. And they blame it on Kamui. They say that there's a logging camp up the river. He must be there. So one of the ninjas says, I will bring Utsuse here immediately. Utsuse, if you remember, is the guy who's been hunting down Kamui, basically for revenge, because Kamui killed Fudo, his adoptive father. And then they all split up. So now we see Utsuse, and he's taking care of that little kid. He's kind of taken in. He's kind of adopted Koyota. And Koyota's very ill. And Utsuse is taking care of him. 3 of the ninjas approach his little hut, and they basically tell him what's up. They say, hey, we found Kamui. And he says, obviously I can't leave right now. This kid's going to die without me. And second of all, I'm not going to go until you really know he's there. You don't even know if Kamui's at this logging camp. You haven't checked yet. And the ninjas say, of course it's Kamui. Who else could it be? And just as the reader is thinking, it's like, Utsuse smart enough to be like, that doesn't sound like Kamui. Kamui's not the kind of guy who'd burn someone to death. And they get in this huge argument. And it actually comes to blows, well, to throwing knives. Because they're basically like, you arrogant bastard. How dare you refuse the orders of the Kogashira? And they pull out these knives to kill Utsuse, and he throws these, I don't know if these are 2 sewing needles or pokers or something. And he basically threatens them. And Utsuse says, adults should know better than to play with fire. Leave. So as they hook up with the guy with the dog again, they're just cursing Utsuse. But they know that he's the only one who can beat Kamui. They know they need him. They don't have the skill themselves. So they tell, one of the ninjas is, the ninja with the dog is sent to infiltrate the logging camp. And one of the things I just love about Kamui is people traveling through nature. Very slowly paced. You can see all this beautifully drawn trees and stuff. And now we cut away from the guy with the dog. I'm pretty sure they haven't mentioned his name. I don't think I'm just being a bad reader. So I don't know. I have to keep calling him the guy with the dog. And the old monk shows up and he confronts one of the ninjas. Well, basically, the old monk just shows up and this ninja's just like, nothing to worry about. He's just an old monk. But the monk's thinking to himself, like a warrior. He's like, one on the right, one in the forest on the other side, 4 of them all together. Like he's totally scouted this whole, what's going on here. And he sees one of these ninjas, and the ninja trips him. And then he says, oh, my sincere apologies, like this false politeness. And he says, oh, don't worry, things happen. And then he tells him, he says, I see the shadow of death on your face. Now, why should that be? That's becoming his tagline. He said, as he walks away, he says, well, be careful. And so the ninja, he knows something's up with this guy. So he throws a dagger at him. The monk evades it. And then he chases him, chases after the monk. And then he finds the monk in a field, kind of squatting down. And when he gets closer, the monk says, you have to go too, huh? And he's taking a shit. And the monk cheerfully walks away saying, "It's your turn now." And the ninja almost steps in the steaming pile of dookie. And he says, that wretched monk. I must be getting old suspecting him. So he realizes, he's just a crazy old monk. But I think there's a reason why I chased him in the first place. You can tell there's something more to this old monk that meets the eye. Now we're back watching the lumberjacks work, tossing the logs in the river. And then it's dinner time again. And the guy with the dog shows up. And they invite him to dinner. They're very friendly. And he says, I'm not here for work. I'm actually looking for my brother. I heard he was seen in these mountains. And so he's looking around to see if he's trying to find Kamui. So they tell him, go to the foreman's office. He must have a list of workers. So he goes to the foreman, and the foreman tells him, well, one fellow left the mountain this morning. And he can't tell him where he was heading. He doesn't know. But he says, if you go downriver, you'll reach the castle town. So he races away to get to this castle town with his dog in tow. So his dog finds this fish. And I think they're now far from a stream. So he's like, what? Why do you have a fish in your mouth? And so he runs and follows the dog to where he found it. The dog leads him to this basket of fish. And then the dog starts growling, and the guy looks out into some kind of lake. So I guess they are near a body of water. And he sees these two arms just reaching out from the water. Such a creepy image. I love that. And he goes out to investigate. And as soon as he comes close to it, the arms grab him and start strangling him. Man, that would be such a great scene in a movie. Okay, number 25. Pretty scary cover. And front piece. So now I guess we're going to have to find out what happens later with that. So we're back with the lumbermen, the lumberjacks. And the ninjas are casing them. They're all around in the forest, checking them out. Some more of that great Stan Sakai lettering. I should say sound effects. Just a whole page of these guys chopping a tree. And now we cut back to the drama scene, the dramatic scene. So this guy in the water's choking him. And they're struggling in the water. The dog is waiting out to help his master. And then it looks like the underwater guy has killed the dog owner with his bare hands. And then the dog who's swimming out to help his master, he's attacked from below. From underwater, he's going, yake, yake, yake. And then this one ninja, who I believe, I'm not quite sure, was watching this whole thing. At least by the way this storytelling goes, it looks like he saw this whole event. And then he starts racing through the woods. I love these scenes of him just leaping through the trees like Tarzan. So the dog's okay. He struggles to the riverbank, and he starts running to find the other ninjas. And he leads them to the spot in the river where his master was killed. And we see a raft floating down the river, and tied to a post on the raft is I believe this is the dog owner, Burnt. We'll find out in a page or two. I'm pretty sure it is. My memory is so bad, even though I read these last night, I forget some details. This is that same ninja from before who saw the old monk pooping in the field and was suspicious of him. We'll call him the chubby ninja. He's a little chubby. And so he jumps onto the raft. And so maybe this is his name, Shishikari. And he says, damn, another burned corpse. What the fuck's going on? And then on top of this cliff, we see this figure. I love the way he draws this with the sun behind him. Just this like few wispy ink lines to show that like, you know, glaring brightness of the sun behind him. And he's all in shadow. And then that guy attacks, leaps down from this cliff top and attacks the chubby ninja. And totally slashes him with his sword. It doesn't kill him though, so he's still fighting back. And the chubby ninja says, who are you? They're at a stalemate. Now we see that the chubby ninja has no hand now and has a blade for a hand, which he didn't before. We'll find out in a second. So he says, who are you? He says, do you not know me? Kogashira Doan. Oh, I guess that's his name. I don't have to call him a chubby ninja. That's mean-spirited anyway. Though I can say it because I'm not just chubby, I'm morbidly obese. But Down, I think. I don't know how to pronounce that. Down. And Down says, no, that's not possible. And the mysterious other ninja says, so you do remember. Oh, I'm sorry, he's not a ninja, but we'll find out who he is in a second. He says, I have some knowledge now of ninja escape techniques. And it turns out this is Izumo Shimu of the Yagyu clan, the guy who's been hunting Utsuse all this time. And he says, but you died in that burning house. And Izumo says, now you must pay. He's about to kill him. Then this other ninja who's been watching, the other ninjas, a couple of them at least, they've been watching and they make their move. Like I said, I love these little scenes of them just leaping around like grasshoppers. So guys, remember I told you this comic does not reprint all of the Kamui in order. It basically chose to pick and choose the best chapters to reprint. And it bothered me then just finding that out. And this really bothers me. So apparently we get this huge block of text filling us in on what we missed. Obviously we missed a lot. We didn't see Izumo Shima get burned in a house. We didn't even see this guy get his hand chopped off. So now basically they do this block of text to just like give us an info dump. So basically, on his quest to find Utsuse, Izumo killed many ninjas. And even Daun, the chubby ninja, he suffered a severe injury, losing his forearm to Izumo. And then Izumo was trapped in a house. And like the mysterious... like the legendary Phoenix, he reappeared from the ashes. And all of a sudden, now he seems to know a lot of ninja techniques, which I don't think he did before. He was just a samurai swordsman. So basically, he makes us deal with Izumo. He says, listen, I'm dying. I know I'm dead. I'm a dead man. But he says, we'll give you Utsuse, our fellow ninja. We'll give him to you if you kill Kamui. Because Utsuse's been erratic. He's been arrogant. We don't even know if we could trust him anymore. But I know you really want Utsuse, so we'll give him to you if you kill Kamui for us. Kind of a strange turn of events. He knows that Izumo is probably one of the few people who could take out Kamui. So then the other ninjas jump on the raft. And Daon says, stop. I made a deal with this guy. And with his dying breath, he says, do not fail to kill Kamui. And it looks like Izumo agrees to the bargain. So now he's going to be hunting Kamui along with Utsuse. Such a weird little turn of events there. And we see the old monk observing all this. And he says, the Yagyu. That's Izumo. I had expected this. So this guy obviously knows a lot more than he's letting on. And then we also see the dog, the ninja dog, looking very sinisterly at the old monk. God, I would love a whole comic about a ninja dog. I love this little dog, the way he's drawn. It's very cute. And now we have number 26. The last part of The Shadow of Death. You can still see the 25-cent bin stamp on here, where I got most of these from. I don't think these didn't sell very well. I found them very easily for a quarter for a long time. So we see the old monk visiting this castle town, and he's eating some food, and the dog is stalking him. Man, I just love this storytelling. Just slowly, the story slowly unfolds. So finally, the old monk sits down to eat his food near, I think it looks like a temple or something, and he sees the dog. And he tries to feed the dog. The dog won't take any food. And the monk says, you're very well trained, aren't you? Just more pages of him walking through the forest, the bamboo trees, and then the ninjas show up. And the ninjas tell him, this place will be your grave. I smell a fight coming on. And he says, please explain. What do you mean? And they say, no point in pretending innocence. We used Hatarubi to track you down. I guess that's the dog's name. Remember the cure-all you received from the medicine seller at the logging camp? It had this certain spice in it that a powder that only dogs can smell. And the ninjas say, you thought your disguise was perfect, but we know who you are. And they say, you're Kamui. And he just says, And I got to be honest, guys, I am very confused about what's going to happen in the next 10 pages here. So I guess we're supposed to believe that this is Kamui somehow disguised. Once again, he says, the shadow of death is on your face. And then he just starts chanting, doing his Buddhist prayer. And then they all attack, including the dog. I love that panel. That's great. Oh, all these panels. I love this shit. Crazy angles. And the monk leaps up into the air with his pole. Takes out the dog. I don't think he kills him. He just bashes him in the face. And by the time he lands, all the other guys, I guess he hit them. Because Izumo is watching. And he says he moves too fast to see. So he couldn't even see. But this guy in that, the old monk in that one leap, knocked out all the guys and they fall to the ground. So now Izumo and the old monk are going to fight. There's going to be some wicked shit here. I love that. So weird. The way he draws the robes flapping in the wind. So this is where it loses me. So all of a sudden, Izumo turns around in the middle of the fight because someone else is landing behind him. And it distracts Izumo enough that these bamboo poles pierce him. He's pierced by these bamboo spears. And it's Kamui. And Kamui says, "You are not Utsusei." I guess he thought he was Utsusei. Because he's as far as Kamui knows, he's the guy chasing him. And then Izumo says, the real Kamui. So it's like, I don't understand. So I guess it was that old monk. And for some reason, they were convinced the old monk was Kamui. But I don't think it was, because the real Kamui shows up now. I had to read that 2 or 3 times. I was just like, what the hell's going on here? So as Izumo is dying, he says, "Please, I must ask a favor of you. Go to the Yagyu." And Kamui says, "You must know that I'm a Nukenin, a runaway ninja." And Izumo tells him, how Utsusei stole the secret sword techniques of the Yagyu. We can't afford to let him live. So he tells Kamui, he's chasing you. For now, the interests of you and the Yagyu lie together. And Kamui just says, how stupid. And Kamui explains to him why that would just be a stupid idea. And Kamui asks Izumo as he's dying, what binds you so dutifully to the Yagyu? Ties of blood? But he dies before he can answer. And then the old monk is just like, you're a nasty fellow, aren't you? Dragging me to things like this. And Kamui says, you chose to interfere. I didn't ask you to do any of that. He just walks away. I mean, anyone else would be so curious and be like, who the fuck are you? What are you up to? So when the ninjas wake up, the monk tells them, tell Utsusei Tell him Kamui will wait in the Yagyu lands. So I guess Kamui is going to go to the Yagyu lands. And now we see more scenes of lumberjacking. And Kamui is floating downriver on one of the log rafts. Probably heading to Yagyu, I imagine. And we get a letter page. That's it, guys, for the latest bit of Kamui action. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And I can't wait to see what's going to happen. But I'm not going to read it until the next video. I'm gonna wait till the night before. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you next time here at the Hercules Petix Academy of Comic Book Studies.